Okay, and we're back. So now we're going to look at the columns. You've had a chance to kind of play with the cards and maybe make some cards. So here we are back at the example that I have going, the Taps and Hole Subplans example workspace. So like I mentioned, there are 4 columns and they default to these titles. So you have your goals column, your resources, evidence, and rubrics. Now, you can add cards to all 4 columns. So generally the goal cards are going to do your things like your objectives, what the outline of what you want the students to learn. If your workspace is the audience is students. Resource cards would be any links of online things that you have, videos, documents, class slides, etc. Evidence cards is kind of where you're doing, if this was directed towards students, where the workspace was for students, this would be your kind of assessment column where you have your formative and summative assessment. You might have quizzes in here, Google Forms, that check what you know sort of thing. And then the last one would be rubrics. So this is where you can have your files with your exemplars and everything like that. Now, it is a nice layout, and especially if you're doing using your workspace maybe as a lesson plan or designing a unit, those columns and the titles could come in handy for organizing things for you. But it's also really flexible, and you can customize the columns and their headings. So you can go ahead and change things in here. You might notice in the module you're working through, I have the columns listed, I think, as step 1 for the first column, step 2 for the second column. I put check-in for the third column, so that's kind of where you see where you're going, and then extra resources for the fourth column. Now, designing this workspace for subplans, I can have it a number of different ways. I might just have it as activities, Oh, there's spell check in there, so that's fantastic. General, and then just like activities. I might have them all as just activities. Obviously, I need to learn how to spell activities. And then I might have this as a student check-in, so I might have it as some kind of formative piece. And I might have this as anchor activities for my sub, that if I have kids, if they have kids that are done early. Anchor. Oh yeah, you can change what the column titles are, which is quite nice. Also, if you don't need to use 4 columns, any columns without any cards in it won't be visible to the learner. So let's say I just used this one column. That's going to be the only one visible to whomever it is the audience of your workspace. So if you're sharing this with students, they're only going to see the one, or if you're using only 2 columns, they're only going to see those. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the columns. The other thing to note in the columns is that the cards within the columns are a little bit different. So these cards here in this first and second column, when I go to create a card, I can add a number of different links and different interactive activities in here. So I might be adding a YouTube link. I might be adding something from my drive. So let's just, I'll just pick a random. There's a random thing. I might be uploading something from my computer. So I'm just going to upload this image from my computer. Oh, it's uploading a bunch of them. Are you sure I want? Yes, I do. Anyway, you get the idea. So I can put a number of different items into here. Just a side note, you'll notice that this big thing came up here of YouTube, but it doesn't show up there. Okay, so I can put a bunch of things in. When I'm in the evidence card, though, the difference here is that I can only add one media at a time. So I can only add one link or one item from Google Drive or one upload. So you have to create a new card for each media. Whereas in these other three, I can have a number of different medias within one card. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to mention there. And yeah, so that's about it for the columns. So why don't you take some time if you want to change the titles of your columns to kind of reflect what your workspace is. Go ahead and do that now.